Welcome to RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network with your hostess, Jen Josie. Join like-minded real estate investors and accelerate your business towards greatness. You will hear step-by-step strategies for success, interviews with real estate rock stars, and we will dig deep into past projects where we bear it all, including the good, the bad, and some just plain ugly. So get excited. Here's the bestower of badassery herself, the real Jen Josie. Listener discretion is advised.
Hi, and welcome back. I'm Jen Josie, creator of RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Whoop, whoop. On today's episode, we have a guest that will be sharing their badassery. But before we begin, here's today's badassery bestowment, my little badass gift to you. Today's topic is scope of work. For real estate investors, one fundamental aspect of managing renovations or construction projects effectively is providing contractors with a detailed scope of work. This document is a critical tool that outlines every aspect of the project, from the specific tasks to be completed, the materials required, the expected quality of work, to the timelines and milestones. A comprehensive scope of work serves several vital functions. It ensures that both you and the contractor have a clear understanding of what is expected, reducing the risk of miscommunication or misunderstandings. It aids in obtaining accurate and comparable bids, as contractors can provide more precise estimates when they fully understand the extent of the work involved. More importantly, a detailed scope of work establishes a basis for accountability. It allows you to monitor the progress of the project against defined expectations and quickly address any deviations. This attention to detail not only helps in keeping your project on schedule and within budget, but also ensures the final outcome meets your investment objectives. So, the effort you put into creating a detailed scope of work can significantly impact the efficiency, cost effectiveness, and overall success of your real estate projects. Now, on to today's episode of the Real Estate Investor Growth Network podcast. We have with us LaDonna Smith. LaDonna is one of the most badass women I have ever met in this industry. She has over 10 years experience in property management, managing properties from Section 8 to Class A luxury new construction. She's converted 1,000 plus units from apartments to condominiums. She's participated in over 300 single-family renovation projects and coached more than 5,000 people, including myself, on their real estate investment business in the United States, Canada, and Mexico. I am beyond honored to have her badassery on the show, so welcome, LaDonna Smith. Yay!
And I'm beyond honored to be here.
Oh my
So exciting.
goodness. You know, and I'm like, I don't even know what LaDonna's last name is when for the longest time, because you're just LaDonna to me. There's only one LaDonna out there. I'm honored to have you on the show. So welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And I'm glad that I don't need a last name. I'm just up there with Cher and Prince.
Madonna.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I want to hear all about you, how you got involved with real estate. So let's start with that.
All right. I flipped my first house in 2009. So back in the real estate crash, I was working with investors and really, as a real estate agent, really loved what they were doing and was so intrigued by it that I started doing it myself. So 2009, I flipped.
Where were you?
Whole house, Naples, Florida.
Oh, okay. So you've always been in Florida?
No, I was schooled in Kentucky, a small town in Kentucky, all my schooling years. And it shows by my English. All my schooling years and my math was in Kentucky. So I went from kindergarten to University of Kentucky in Kentucky.
Wow.
I moved to Florida in 1997. Oh, now we're talking about age. Oh, no.
Oh, my goodness. Well, I'm from Florida. I was born in Miami and grew up in Broward County. So
Nice.
yes.
Well, and that's where I moved in 97. I moved to Fort Lauderdale.
Oh.
And then I moved over here in 2003.
Very nice. Okay. So sorry, I got so distracted there. So you flipped your first property 2009 and go ahead, keep going with that.
Loved it. Loved it. Stinky, smelly, gross, disgusting hoarder houses. Oh, those were my jam. I was instantly intrigued and in love. I'm like, this is what I'm going to do. So I think the next year I flipped 4 houses and worked my butt off. It was a from dark till dark type of, I'm going to Home Depot, getting the paint. I'm putting toilets in my sedan type of, LaDonna, the project manager, LaDonna is going to go get all the supplies. Didn't love that aspect. And I felt like I worked the entire year to do 4 houses. So that's when I got into a coaching program who truly changed my trajectory. They showed me how to have systems, tools, and resources. And that changed everything for me. So I went from doing 4 houses a year to 26 houses a year.
And is this the same coaching program that I met you in?
You betcha.
Okay. Are we allowed to? We can say it's Fortune Builders.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah, Fortune Builders.
We love Fortune Builders.
They changed. That was learned far more there than I would have learned. The tuition that I paid for that, I used to say I would pay double. Don't tell them, but I would have paid double because it was so life-changing on how to, they showed me how to run it as a business, not running to Home Depot and putting the toilets in my car.
Right.
But being the business manager. So I was able to definitely increase the amount of homes I was doing and do it on a lot less time. So it was a game changer.
Awesome. And like I said, that's where I met you. You have been on stage there. What all did you do for Fortune Builders? Because I'm in an education program. I'm a coach for an education program with Tariq El Moussa, which is where I saw you most recently at one of his events. But what all did you do for Fortune Builders?
I started off as a one-on-one coach. You get on the, I think back then, I love saying that. Back then, you got one coaching call every 2 weeks. And so I'd put up my schedule. You'd get 30 minutes with me and I would, guide you through the course and say, hey, here's what we need to work on. Here's our homework assignments. Here's what we need to improve, Q&A. I honestly wasn't a great one-on-one coach then. I really wasn't.
Well, you're dynamic on stage, so I'm just...
Bob was the head of coaches and I would get on a coaching call and I was just very firm. I'm like,
this is Bob LaChance, by the way, who is also on this podcast, and he's very tough to look at, by the way, so keep going.
But Bob would, when I got a phone call from Bob, I'm like, oh, I know I'm in trouble. But he's like, so I was listening to the coaching call you did the other day, and when the students said they didn't do their homework, you told them that there was nothing else to talk about, and you hung up the phone and told them to call you back when their homework was done. You can't do that. I'm like, they didn't do their homework. Like, how are they supposed to succeed if they don't do their homework? So,
oh my God, I love you. And I wish I could do that sometimes on coaching calls. So students, if you're listening, just do your homework. Okay, sorry.
Why do you have me as a coach if you're not going to do anything I say? So I started there. They felt I might be better suited for email support. So when you wrote in a question about real estate to Fortune Builders, in the beginning, I was one of 2 people who answered those. And then as Fortune Builders grew and they had more student base, I think we expanded to 4 people who did that. I did deal review. So when you had a deal that was great or not great, and it was an emergency, I was the emergency hotline. So you would call me up and like, oh my God, I'm going to lose a bunch of money. I'm going to make a bunch of money. And I would walk you back off the cliff and I'd walk through your deal and tell you my opinions if it was a good deal or a bad deal. That was actually kind of fun because people would freak out. And so then I started doing boot camps for them. So I was a speaker at their boot camps and I did the REO short sale boot camp. At the time, I was doing I was doing every short sale in Naples. Every short sale in Naples I had under contract. And then Jen Josie, and then I did Future Fortune Builders, which was the best passion project. So this was financial literacy for 13 to 17-year-olds. And that was a game changer for me as well.
So important.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness. Well, I love how you said, oh, you didn't do your homework. I'm still laughing about that. And so I have watched you evolve over the years, and you have something that is on the ground floor and it's getting ready to grow. And so I was like, you don't even have a name for this yet. And I'm like, get on my podcast. I'm so excited about this. And you are starting, I don't want to really call it an accountability group, but what
I would call it a community.
A community. And in that community, and just because of how you said I would hang up on you if you didn't do your homework, that's why you need to be running a group like this, because you are not going to put up with the bullshit. You are going to say, let's get this going. Let's put you on a path to success. So tell me what is brewing in LaDonna's mind, because you always have these amazing ideas. What are you creating for? And it's for women, correct?
Yes. Thank you. Yes. This is what I'm super passionate about right now. And I've been trying to find my path to launch it, and it will be launching in the next 30 days. But it's going to be a community specifically designed for entrepreneurial women or entrepreneurial minded women who want to have a growth mindset and are positive. And this is who, selfishly, honestly, this is who I want to surround myself around. This is who I want to be around every single day. And I want to see, I'm in a give it back, pay it forward, pay it some way, sideways, forward, backwards. But there was a lot of people who helped me on my path, and I want to help women on their path. So this group is a community of women that are basically cheerleaders for everybody in the group. So it's cheerleaders supporting cheerleaders is kind of the short way I'd like to describe it. But on a higher level, it's a very high level accountability group to help accelerate your growth to your goals. So going back to Bob LaChance, him and I used to have an accountability group, and we met every Tuesday. Actually, we met once a month, and we connected every Tuesday, and it was intense. Like, we had very specific rules. You had to show up. You couldn't miss one meeting. We didn't care why. Like, there was no excuse that was acceptable. Zombie apocalypse, we're probably all missing it. But you had to make this accountability group your priority. But because of being in that group and many others just like it, it really helped me more than anything accelerate the achievement of my goals. So instead of taking, if we had something we thought was going to be a 3-year timeline, how can we make it a 1-year timeline? Because time is important. We're not getting more of that back. So I am now putting this group together, and kind of the other thing that I love is there is a travel component. We're going to meet up 3 to 4 times a year. That will be our mastermind, where we're really going to get together and talk about our goals, share ideas. I love soundboarding off other people, and then also just really do a deeper connection. I've been going to real estate conferences for a decade or more now, and they're fun and you learn, but you don't get that deep opportunity to connect. And so this community, there'll be deep connections.
And that's huge, because, I'm was just having a discussion about our education program, and it really started during COVID. So everything has been virtual, and we started doing live events for Homeschooled by Tarek, and it made such a huge difference. And that is also, such an important aspect of bonding, especially if you are a group of women. We need that, in this business, in real estate, but this is for entrepreneurials, but I have such a hard time saying that word. Entrepreneurial
people,
business-minded business lady badasses. We'll go with that.
There we go.
So, but getting together, because in real estate, just our industry, it can be very lonely. You're doing this, why I call you such a badass, because you're doing this as a woman on your own, and you have team members and stuff, but that's why you are so good at this. And I want to go back to when you were talking about your first year when you flipped 4 houses, and you said, from dark to dark every day. So one of the things that you are going to be teaching women is, are you working in your business or are you working on your business? So do you have any tips on how to get people to step back and really just work on your business as opposed to doing dark to dark?
Absolutely, I do. I have an exercise that I did, and I would encourage anybody who wants to gain their time back. And if you got 5 minutes, I'll give you the exercise. But people could do this week. But take everything that you do in a day and write it down. Bookkeeping, podcasting, marketing, whatever it is. And then it doesn't matter what it is. Whatever you did that day, write it down. Just write it down. And then at the end of the day or in the moment, rate it 1 through 5. 1, I'd rather someone rip my fingernails off while putting hot laser pokers in my eyeballs. Or 5, I really enjoy this. So write all that down. And then the second thing you're going to do is take them and put them into income producing activities, non-income producing activities. Most of what we do is non-income producing activities, but it has to be done. Like we can't not do bookkeeping. I mean, we could, but it's going to be treacherous at some point.
Especially tax season.
It's going to hurt. It's going to hurt if we don't do it. So for me, and I use that one because that was my one. And here's what happens. I mean, I'm going to ask you, Jen, like when there's something you don't want to do, like what's the first thing you do when there's something you don't want to do?
Honestly, I put it on the calendar for first thing tomorrow morning, like the next morning, like get it the hell out of the way and get it done. And then I'm over it.
Right. So when there's things that we don't want to do, we do tend to procrastinate doing them.
Yes.
I'll put it on the calendar the next day, and then I'll put it on the calendar the next day.
Yes, that does happen as well.
And then when I finally do it, I do a really crappy job because I just want to get through it and get it done. So why would I hire myself as the world's worst bookkeeper? Why would I pay myself that? So take your non-income producing activities that are ones and outsource that. Immediately. Take one. I don't care whatever your timeline is. If you're a super fast Speedy Gonzalez, do one a week. If you're slow, you roll, maybe do one a month. But take one of those ones and outsource it. And it has to be a one that's and if you run out of ones and you go to your twos, then that's where you go next. Until you've outsourced 80 to 85% of your non-income producing activities. And now you're working on your business, not in your business.
I love that. So part of this interview, I asked you to fill out a questionnaire, and you said that so many people are stuck on a life path that doesn't bring them joy. And when we were just going over things at the beginning, this group that you want to create, this community of badass women, you want to put them on a path to happiness. And I love that. So what are some things that you will be doing within this group? I know you're going to have the smaller accountability groups, about 5 people. You're going to do the in-person masterminds, but what are some activities or exercises that you're going to be, teaching these women to find that path to happiness?
One of the activities that I love, and honestly, I have anybody that's working with me. So like if I have an acquisition manager, if I have an admin, I have them do this activity. And I learned this from somebody at Fortune Builders. And it was design your perfect day and write it out. So I have it now where I'll walk you through this exercise of creating your perfect day. And just so, to give you a concept of it, time and money don't matter. So I know it says perfect day, but time and money don't matter. So an example I will give is like I had someone who woke up and they were in Jamaica and they went jet skiing, but later in the afternoon, they were in the mountains, sitting by a fireside. In one day, that's kind of hard, but in this world, it's okay.
Right.
So I walk them through an exercise, and I've really, really perfected this. I'm kind of excited about it because I'm really good at doing this. It used to take, I would say like hours, because I would have people get detailed. Now I can have them give me the bullet points, and I can put it into a program that literally writes the story for them and gives it back to them.
Nice.
So for me, like I really struggled with vision boards, like, cutting a piece of magazine out and putting it on. It was very one-dimensional. It didn't inspire me enough. This is a story. This is a story of your life. And, when I had, what was my girl? She was doing all my listings. I guess she was an agent. But, if you're going to work with me, I had you do this exercise. So she wrote hers out. This was easily 10 years ago. And she hand wrote it out, and it was 6 pages long. And by the time she got to like page 4, there were exclamation points. There were bold, like she was passionate about it. And what that helped me do was now I know what turns her on, what makes her passionate. She now knows what turns her on and makes her passionate. So when we're making phone calls to sellers and you're frustrated, you're looking beyond that, and you're looking over to your perfect day. Like, oh, well, I have to make these 15 phone calls, to get one appointment. So I can go live my perfect day. And I knew how to motivate her. So when we're having conversations, or if we're doing bonuses, or if we're just like getting through a rough patch over an obstacle, I knew what motivated her. So I'm going to help people truly understand what brings them joy. I have too many conversations in the world where people aren't living what they tell me brings them joy.
So I'm married to an amazing guy, Vance, and I have asked him, I said, he has a hard time visioning things. So how do you draw this out of people? It would blow his mind. I don't know what my perfect day is. Like, it depends on, what project we're working on. I'm like, no. What is your perfect day? And I know he would have such trouble defining it. So how do you pull that out of people?
So in the exercise, I literally start with, what do you want? People struggle, and I hope everybody listening to this podcast really takes a moment to deep dive into that question, because and the word I would emphasize, what do you want? Not what do you think you want, what you see other people. I have a girlfriend who, when I asked her what she wanted, and she gave me this story, and I knew it wasn't true. And I'm like, well, where did you get that from? She's like, well, that's what I saw so-and-so over here doing, and she's successful, so that must be what I want. So kind of we have a mutual friend in Atlanta. She's a general contractor. When I asked her this, and she's very successful in her field. But when I asked her what she wants, she's like, I want to renovate a school bus, and drive across the country. And that is very far different than what she's doing. And so I'm not saying she has to stop what she's doing, but what are we doing towards, do we have a bus? Do we know how much buses are? So anyway, I start with, what do you want? And then when we're crafting the day, I break it down into categories like health, family, career, profession, spirituality, and I'll ask bullet points in each of those sections. And from there, I'll get a little more detailed. I'll ask like 2 to 3 sentences on the next level. And from there, I can craft their perfect day and give it back to them. And once I give it back to you, you can tweak it from there. But it's your day written based on the information you gave me.
This is awesome. And, just having that, because a lot of people are just doing their day-to-day shit that they think this is what you're supposed to do. I went to school, then went to college. Now I'm working for the man. I'm in a job. And, so this
Good
is
insurance.
It's just like a lot of people don't think that they can allow themselves to do this. And so I think this is such a great opportunity and a safe space for women, to create something like this. So one other bullet point you have on here is why passive income is vital to living your dream life. Because people may say, yeah, I want a bus and do this, but it takes all this to get there. So what does passive income have to do with this dream life?
Well, in my opinion, most people's dream life isn't working 9 to 5 for 40 plus years and then retiring at an age 62, 65, and then having, 10 to 15 years to now go explore the world.
Right.
So to get
with bad knees and bad hips and
right. Right. Like, are you going to go to Spain? Are you going to go to Rome when you're 85 and climb the Spanish steps with a walker? I don't think so. Let's do it now while we got some good knees.
Yes.
So changing the word perspective of retirement to financial freedom. As teenagers, we're financially free. It's when we start buying things and, accumulating assets that we lose that financial freedom. So determining what I have a wealth calculator. I have another exercise. I have a color-coded spreadsheet, and it will walk the person through what they need in passive income to not have to work again. So to get to that number of infinity, when your income is covering your bills, and whatever your bills are, if your bills are $1,000 a month or $80,000 a month, what do we need coming in to get there, and how close are we? So this is a wealth calculator. It walks you through where you are now. We have to know where we're starting to get going. And I remember the first time I did it, the goal is infinity, that you have more income coming in than you've got going out. So I did the whole calculation, like, here's my income, here's money sitting in the bank. Like, if I start taking money from that, and I could live 0.6 years. And I was like, well, that doesn't sound great. That doesn't sound great at all. Like, I've got 6 months before I run out of money. So that's really what helped trigger me into, because I was flipping houses. I'm like, I can make, 25, 30,000 flipping a house. Why would I keep it for $300, in net cash flow? So that helped me understand, like, LaDonna, if you get hit by a bus, or LaDonna, if you want to go, travel the world on a bus, you need income coming in where you don't have to show up. You need mailbox money. So passive income is that money's making money for you, whether you show up to work or not. And whether it's you don't show up to work because you want to go to Thailand for a month or because you want to go take care of your ailing mother. And you can't do that if you have to show up to a 9 to 5.
Right. And that's through real estate is how you grow your passive.
For me.
You.
Like I think there's other ways. I think you could write a song. You could write a Christmas song and get royalties. I don't have that skill set. So I would go with buy rental properties, buy anything that produces income. Because the real estate appreciates in value while it's throwing off this income that lets you lead your lifestyle by design.
All right. So listeners, clearly LaDonna knows her shit and will pull stuff out of you and keep you accountable. And she has systems, spreadsheets. She's got all this. But what you are missing is LaDonna the person. And I have something here. I'm going to hold this up. So explain, because this is an audio, but explain what I'm holding in my hands.
You are holding a beautiful, lovely hand-painted rock. So, and this is some people really, it's hard to understand, but I find so much joy in painting rocks. So my girlfriends and I do too. If you come to my house in Naples, you are going to be painting rocks.
I love it.
And we paint rocks. And then we have a little Facebook group for the rocks. And we put them out in the world. So I always have a box of rocks in my car. And I have rocks in my purse. And if I'm going to the doctor's office, if I'm going to the courthouse for evictions, I leave rocks out in the world for people to find. And then when people find them, they'll post them on this Facebook group and say, oh my gosh, I was at the grocery store. This cute one was, I was going to the courthouse and to get my marriage license. And the rock I had left there was like, you got this. And she's like, that was the sign I needed. So It's so much fun. So there's joy in painting the rocks. There's joy in hiding them. Cause like, I don't ever want someone to see me leaving them. I don't know. I'm a weirdo. But then when someone posts that they found one, there's joy in that too.
So where are some cool places that people have posted rocks from?
I saw one recently on the page where they found it in, I think Kensington Gardens in England.
Wow.
Yeah. So I didn't put that one there. Someone took it. So a lot of times people will find a rock and then they'll rehide it, or sometimes people will find a rock and they'll keep it.
I love this. And this is just something where you are just spreading joy, being LaDonna in her way. And we had to cut the sound off here for a second because this is something else that I just adore about you is you don't have any pets yourself though, correct?
I do not.
But you foster dogs. So why, or do you foster cats or anything else? Or
no, I'm a dog lover. I'm a dog lady.
So
I foster strictly dogs.
I mean, like I was telling Vance, I'm like, let's just foster some puppies. He's like, because they're not leaving this house if it happens. So exactly, what drew you to foster dogs? And you have fostered many, many dogs, which I mean, I didn't think I could love you anymore, but when I heard this about you, so tell us about that.
Yes, I love fostering dogs. So actually, I used to always be a dog person, but I started traveling too much. And so it wasn't conducive to me to have my own dogs anymore. But they're just such smush potatoes. I mean, they're the happiest person to see you. And you could leave the house for like 30 seconds and then back in again. They're guard dogs. Hey, that's Hazel.
So
Hazel's my first foster dog of 2024. I work with the Humane Society of Naples and the Humane Society of Pinellas County. I foster behavioral issue dogs. So again, typically they have an issue with other dogs and or people. And it gives them a break. And also it gives the Humane Society an opportunity to see how they are in a home, because a lot of these dogs have never been in a home. And then they can make them more adoptable. So if I had my own pets, I wouldn't be able to foster most of the dogs that are my target audience.
Well, I mean, you have a heart of gold. You are a dog person. You spread your love around the world through rocks. And now you get to do this through this designing a the path to happiness for 300 lucky women that you are going to have as part of this group. And LaDonna, I just appreciate you so much sharing all this. And how do people find you to become a part of this group, this nameless group that we haven't come up with a name yet? We're not going to call it COW.
The community. What if we just did that? The community.
All right. We just named it. There it is. Perfect.
The community. Right now, the best way to find me is I am now actively on social media at Champagne LaDonna at Instagram.com. Yeah, that's my name.
I was very tempted to pop a bottle, during this interview, but it is 10 o'clock in the morning here. So I would have to throw OJ in it.
Pop a bottle. Yes. I will be leading up to the launch. I'll be making announcements on Instagram. So that would be the best way to find me. DM me. I will talk to you. I'm very, very committed to finding joy for the most amount of people that I possibly can. The women's group is going to be the easiest way for me to do it because it's the most relatable for me. Being an entrepreneur woman, like you said, doing this business by myself, it is hard. It's been very hard. It's a very male-dominated business. Mm-hmm. I've managed to navigate it for the last 10 years, and I want to help as many people as possible lead their best life. That's truly my goal for 2024. I have to.
Well, you have led me towards a better life, having been coached by you, seen you speak, and I just adore you completely. So we are moving to the second part of the podcast, which is what makes LaDonna a badass. And I use the acronym BADASS, and the first letter is B for book. What's a book that's made a huge difference in your life?
I think the one that is most impactful, there's so many, Jen. I mean, there's like 50 books, but the one that really stands out to me is The Obstacle is the Way. And Eckhart Tolle's Power of Now. That's it. I'm going to stop. Yeah, just because it really helped understand the value of time. You can't really spend time worrying about the future or feeling guilt about the past because you're losing your moment in the present. And so I think I have a really good relationship right now with time, and it's because of those two books.
Excellent. And I have both of those, and I have yet to crack them open.
The Obstacle is the Way. Do that one first. The Power of Now. I had that book on my nightstand. There's 5 books on my nightstand. I had that book there for 5 years. Someone gave it to me because they thought I needed to read it. I'm like, I'll read it when I'm ready. You don't tell me what to do. But it's kind of heavy and dry. But when I picked it up is exactly when I needed to read it. And
I forgot who wrote The Obstacle is the Way, but he also wrote a book about who was it?
Ryan Daly. Ego is the Enemy.
That one. So I started that one, and I feel like it was like sports related or something. I'm like, yeah, I'm not feeling this. So then anyway, the other one's still, am I right? Am I confusing the books?
So I started that one too, and I felt the same way. And I'm like, I'm not relating to it. So I put that one down and The Obstacle is the Way. I've read that one now 6 times.
Okay.
I maybe try that because I felt the same way about Ego is the Enemy.
All right.
Good. I wasn't thinking with it.
Thank you for telling me that. I'm going to crack it open today then. All right. The first A in BADASS is for advice. You've given us some great advice on some things to do here to start thinking of your perfect day. What is the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Okay, I'm going to read it, and I'm going to tell you. So when I used to work for Fortune Builders and I did the full immersion, I ended every full immersion with this quote. And I would always choke up when I read it. So my goal was like, I'm going to read this quote and I'm going to do it with passion and I'm going to smile and laugh. So I'm going to read it, but it gets me a little, I think I can handle it.
Okay.
So the Dalai Lama, when asked what surprised him most about humanity, he answered man, because he sacrifices his health in order to make money. Then he sacrifices money to recuperate his health. And then he is so anxious about the future that he does not enjoy the present. The result being that he does not live in the present or the future. He lives as if he's never going to die and then dies having never really lived. I did pretty good.
That is, I did not read this before. You put it in here and I was like, I just kind of breezed over it, but I'm glad I have that whole thing typed out. I'm going to put it in the show notes because, gosh, that really hits home. That is so true. Sacrificing his health in order to make money and then sacrificing money to recuperate his health.
and then dies, having never really lived.
So, and you're going to fix that for all 300 women in your group, the community. Is that what we're going to call it?
The community. I think this might stick. I'm not joking. I'm feeling warm and fuzzy about the community.
I like it. Wow, that was great. All right. The D in badass is for drive. What drives LaDonna to be successful?
I feel, in my opinion, I have a desire to be a better version of myself. I have friends who think I'm competitive, but I think if you really narrow down and you look at me, I don't compete against anybody. I just don't have the desire, the willpower, but I do always want to be a better version of myself. So again, in the community, I want to be around growth mindseted, positive people. And so I'm just looking, we have a very short time in here. And like, why would I dilly-dally and waste a day away not being an improved version of myself? And there's still so much work to do.
Oh my goodness. Yes. And, I also feel we were having this conversation before we hit record, as we get older, we give less shit about what other people, their opinions of us, and it just makes us even better. And I just love your attitude for that. And, just reinforcing it with that you're striving to be a better person of yourself. You're only competing against yourself, and amazing. All right.
I want everybody to win. I want you to win. I will be your biggest cheerleader. There's nothing that you're going to do that I'm going to be like, oh, I wished I did that. I want you to have it all. So, and I think the best way I can do this is be the best version of myself so I can be the best version and show up for everybody else.
Well said. All right. The second A in badass is for aspiration. I'm a big goal setter. So what is a goal you are currently working on?
I'm going to create the community. The community.
The community. That's it. I'm going to Google and make sure that we have a website. I know.
I that's the first thing I saw. Like someone's already taken that. I know. The community underscore or something.
Yes, exactly. The community. I don't know. So, I can't say enough great things about that. I am looking myself to be a part of this. And you mentioned wine country as one of the getaways. And I'm like, ooh, because I recently watched the movie Wine Country, which is an older movie, but it is hilarious. Have you seen Wine Country?
Yeah. Yes.
And they walk in to see Brene Brown sitting there.
And I love Brene Brown.
I do too. Can we invite her to be part of the community?
Right. Oh my gosh, I would pee my pants a little bit.
She is amazing.
Her and Sarah Blakely showed up together, I would full on pass out.
She's one of my sorority sisters, Sarah Blakely. I mean, not me personally, but she's in my sorority nationally. Anyway, I digress. I love her. All right, Spanx, bang, bang. All right, so the next letter is S for systems. What systems do you have in place to help you achieve success?
I think I'm not sure if it's a system. It's a system for me, but being quick, kind of like we just talked about, being quick to outsource. And outsource so I can work on the business. I am not an I dot or T crosser, so it's important for me to outsource quickly anyway. I'm more of a visionary, big picture. So I would say my system is being quick to outsource.
So question on that, how do you pay for this in the beginning when you are struggling to get everything together and get going? How do you pay to outsource?
Well, I would still do the tasks. Find out what the one is. And then I think this is where you're going to have faith in yourself. Another exercise that I do with people that we didn't have time to talk about today is determining what your worth is. So the quick version would be like, let's say you want to do 10 real estate renovations and they're going to net $30,000 a month. That's $30,000 a piece. That's $300,000. So you're valuing your year at $300,000. If you break that down hourly, I don't know what that number is, but let's say it's $250 an hour. You can't afford to pay a bookkeeper $250 an hour if you're going to make that goal. So you might have to sacrifice. You might need to start eating some ramen. You might need to figure out how, you've got to figure this out because you're going to need to outsource something as quick as possible to get to that goal. If you're going from 0 to 10 and you're going from 0 to 300,000, you're going to have to outsource. There's not enough time in the day to do everything. So if you have literally 0, figure out what the first one is and make that the goal to, as soon as I, get a wholesale deal or whatever it is, I'm putting all that money back in so I can get to my goal.
Excellent. And thank you for saying that because, again, I live with someone who's like, we can't afford to hire an assistant. I'm like,
I can't afford not to.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. I'm going to make sure he listens to this. All right. The final S in badass is for success. What does success mean to you?
To me, it's super simple. It's time and financial freedom. And that's going to be different for every single person. It doesn't mean boats and hoes and you have to have, $100,000 a month coming in. It's, well,
Boats
okay.
and hoes.
The stepbrother reference now.
Do we just become best friends?
Exactly. Velociraptor. Yes, I have a lot of time to watch movies. So there. But that, well, I mean, Jen, you're in the same industry, this real estate, and we go to conferences and it's a bunch of people on the stage pounding their chests and taking pictures in front of their
Lambos,
fancy cars or a private jet. Not everybody wants that.
Exactly.
And so to me, that's the boats and hoes lifestyle. I want to pet puppies and paint rocks. My financial freedom is going to come a lot quicker because it's a lot less expensive. And, with that comes my time freedom. I don't want to hustle. I am not a hustler. I don't want to have 40 employees. I don't want to show up to an office every day. And the boats and hoes lifestyle is going to require that of me. So I'm going to opt. So time and financial freedom.
And so well said. And, people are afraid to admit that because so many people like scale. And that's not even in my wheelhouse. I don't want to have exactly what you just said. And I appreciate you saying that in a safe space like this too, that it's okay to just, I want to travel. Maybe I want to get a bus now. I like that story. Who is it? Who is that in Atlanta, by the way?
Danielle. Yeah.
Of course. Okay. And she does the pink doors.
And she did it. I'm so excited. Like I talked to her. I'm so excited. I got a little sweaty. She did it. We talked about this probably 4 or 5 years ago. And I think last summer she did it.
Well, I see the community helping other women achieve their dreams as well. And I just appreciate you so much for sharing your badassery on today's episode. And thank you so much for being here. What is the easiest way, one more time, for the listeners to find you so that they can become part of this community?
Champagne LaDonna, LaDonna at Instagram.com. Or what is it? Instagram? I don't know. Instagram.com.
We'll figure it out.
Or at Champagne LaDonna on Instagram.
There you go.
And thank you so much for having me. You are always such a joy to be around. I love your energy. You didn't really have an option to be in the community. You have to be. So
I can't wait.
You don't get to opt out. Sorry.
We are going to wine country. I'm in. Yes. So LaDonna, you're the best. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
And that is all. Thank you for listening. We will catch you on the next episode. Now go out there and share your badassery. And don't forget, make it a great day. Take care. Bye-bye. Whoop, whoop.
Thank you for listening to RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform so you never miss an episode. If you need more badassery, you can follow Jen Josie by visiting therealjenjosie.com or become a member of RAIN by registering on rainmastermind.com.